Hey, it's Mike from the Mike Urban Show. I'm sitting here with Paul Craney from the Fiscal Alliance Foundation. Paul?
The Fiscal Alliance Foundation is a 501c3. It's tax deductible. Like a lot of 501c3s, it kind of is limited with what it can do, but it does very important work. So we have been doing a lot of educational activities around polling, studies, litigation. These are kind of the bulwark of what the foundation does. It started in 2017. If you check out the fiscalalliancefoundation.org website, you can click on a tab that says studies, polling, and litigation. You can kind of see the past work. I definitely want to talk about last year in 2025, some of the work we did, but then also talk about 2026, because some of the work we did in 2025 will carry on to 2026. And if you're a taxpayer in Massachusetts, some of this work is really important because your vote is going to actually determine some of the outcomes of these potential issues. We do a lot of social media videos. They're kind of more long in nature. It's more like storytelling about very unique situations that are happening around Massachusetts. I would say probably the most unique, longer stories we've done as social media videos deals with basically industrial batteries. If you're not familiar with this, you probably will be in the next few years. It's kind of popping up a lot in 2025 in Massachusetts. It's popping up in high density urban areas. It's popping up in little tiny towns with like volunteer fire departments. It just doesn't matter where you are in Mass. All of a sudden you're starting to hear about these mega battery projects being thrown into your town. And so, some towns are welcoming it. Some towns, they can't deal with it. They just don't have the infrastructure. They have a lot of environmental concerns. But last year in 2025, the Fiscal Alliance Foundation spent a ton of time going into these communities, talking to people, figuring out what's their issue with these proposals.
One's in Tewksbury, right?
Yeah, one's in Tewksbury. There was a big project still going on in Oakham.
Yes.
There was a big project in Everett.
Yes, I remember.
There's actually quite a few. I mean, if you just Google it, you'll find a lot of projects, and they're everywhere. But we wanted to showcase this because this is all part of the net zero climate mandate. It's basically battery storage has to become a reality in Massachusetts. If you can visually think of like what a tractor trailer looks like on an 18-wheeler, that's a battery storage compartment. And most of these towns are dealing with a lot of them getting flooded into their communities. But that's kind of like the size of one, if you will. Now, Everett, I think, would have the largest in the country. The one that they're proposing. The largest in the country was in California, and it burnt down. Yeah, I know we laugh.
Yeah, I know. It's not
quite
they but it's
quite depressing when you think about it, because these things, when they catch fire, you can't extinguish it.
Correct, exactly.
They go out on their own. It takes a long time. They spill out all sorts of toxins, as you can imagine. Now, in California, they built it in a desert. So if there was problems, to some degree it's mitigated. Not to say you want to burn the stuff in a desert, because the desert's a beautiful environment. But they didn't put it in like San Francisco or LA downtown. They put it away from population
We
centers.
don't have that opportunity.
No, in Massachusetts, they're throwing them everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard a case, I think it was in Duxbury. It was a residential property that someone wanted to put in their backyard to make a deal with a battery company. I mean, that's bonkers if you wake up, your neighbor
100%.
says, I'm going to put a tractor trailer battery in my backyard.
Yeah.
Welcome to the neighborhood. But in Everett would be, I think, the largest in the country, the one they're building there. The ones they're building out in central and western Mass, these are in very small communities. Some of these communities, they have volunteer fire departments.
Yes.
Just throwing them into these communities. And a lot of them, a lot of people forget this, but the drinking water for Boston is in central Mass. And it's very protected part of our state. You can obviously visit it, but like you can't like swim in these areas.
Sure.
And they're protected because it's Boston's drinking water.
Yes. And
they're talking about putting these things by the Boston drinking water. In Westfield, Massachusetts, they were talking about putting one by an aquifer. And that was defeated. But the whole point is these things are popping up, and the Fiscal Alliance Foundation wanted to showcase these battery developments. And the reason is because of the net zero mandate.
Yes.
They're mandating into law battery storage. So now the state is just saying, go at it, go put it wherever you want. And some of them were rejected. Some of them are still being debated. Some of them have been approved. But this battery component was something new. And we wanted to shed a light on it. So the foundation did a lot with op-eds email blasts and videos and visiting these communities to talk to people. And I encourage anyone in your audience, check it out, Fiscal Alliance Foundation on our social media platforms. You will see some really good videos of people talking about this. And it's not an ideological issue. It's not a partisan issue. It's just like a pure common sense. Does this make sense for my community? Does this make sense as a policy in Massachusetts? So that was a big issue. We did start the year almost 12 months ago, in January of last year, talking about a climate mandate that went to effect in 2025. Basically what it did was, if you wanted to buy a freight truck, like an 18-wheeler that you see, in Massachusetts, you were being forced to buy EV versions first. So if you sell these vehicles, you had diesel ones and EV ones. In Massachusetts, they couldn't sell a diesel one until they sold all the EV ones. The problem was that, one, no one wanted to buy the EV. Two, they're much more expensive. Three, they don't go as far. And four, there was no infrastructure. So it's just one of these things where you legislate into law something that doesn't work, and it's not working in the private sector. But you had customers willing to buy new diesel trucks, new freight trucks. They couldn't buy it. You had suppliers willing to sell it. They couldn't sell it. And it was creating havoc. So people could take their old freight truck and just refurbish it. But that was the reality of this time last year in Massachusetts. And Governor Healy, after getting so much pressure, she delayed this climate mandate for 2 years.
Yes.
So her second term, if she's reelected, she's going to have to deal with this again.
Yep.
But that was just blocking up commerce in Massachusetts.
100%.
And you couldn't go to New Hampshire and buy one and bring it here. That was against the law. But that was a video that we started to do a lot in January of last year.
Yes.
To start to showcase this kind of crazy climate mandate that just did not work with reality, and it kind of blew up in the governor's face.
Of course.
We also covered a lot with this whole local issue of nicotine-free generation. Now, not everyone that's listening to this today is going to be using nicotine products. When we talk about this is only for adults, obviously not for children or minors. But nicotine products are exactly what you think they are. Things that have nicotine. They're made for enjoyment. But in Massachusetts, only in Massachusetts does this happen. There's kind of this special interest group going around to different towns and cities and going to boards in health. And they're saying to these boards in health, pass into law this thing called the nicotine-free generation. And these boards of health, many of them are not elected, are basically passing into law through regulation that people born after a certain year, when they become adults, cannot buy nicotine products in their town. So again, now basically what that means is you're creating two sets of adults. And this is why it should matter to anyone. So almost take away the subject matter of nicotine and think about, are you comfortable with a board of health saying to adults, on one hand of these adults, they can buy this product. On the other hand, these adults cannot. Because that's basically what is happening.
Correct.
And if they can do that with nicotine, they can do that with your bacon. They can do that with your soda. You get my point. They can find a way to use the same rationale for other things that we enjoy.
Well, they're removing agency from a person making their own decisions. Is
Exactly.
what they're doing. Yes.
So that's nicotine-free generation. We've been going around the state trying to expose some of just this really kind of way over-aggressive
Yes.
regulating to adults. And again, not children, not minors.
Right.
We're talking about adults making their own decisions.
Of course.
And we hope eventually, so some of these towns started to pass it. Some of them actually rejected it. Some are considering it. What we hope is that the legislature at some point just says, no. Adults are adults. Let them make their own decisions.
Correct.
I mean, Massachusetts is so liberal, so progressive on so many issues.
Correct.
But then they can't make their own decisions with nicotine products.
It's very strange.
Yeah, no, it's obviously just not consistent with the rest of our thinking in our
Correct.
state. So nicotine-free generation was an issue that popped up when we said, how does it apply to the foundation? How does it apply to everyone? Is we don't like the fact that they can set rules for different types of adults.
Yes.
And that should be a concern to anyone. In our town that we're sitting in right now, Westford, Massachusetts, there was a stretch energy code debate that the foundation kind of engaged on. And what I mean is we took the stories of people who live in Westford, we're recording this right now, and Westford voters rejected this idea. But a lot of these towns and city, all part of the climate mandate of net zero by 2050, are deciding if they want to go net zero in their hometowns. So it basically means you can't use natural gas, you can't use propane, you can't use oil. Eventually, everything has to be electrified. Your home, your cars, everything you do. And the people of Westford spoke out against it last year. They voted it down. And we were there to kind of showcase their opinions about why this was bad for Westford. And I think Westford made the right decision. They said, this is going to hurt people in our community. So that was a great kind of victory.
That was a win. Yeah.
For
Another
taxpayers and as a foundation going there and giving a voice to people for why they came out on the right issue. We talked a lot about offshore wind last year.
Yes.
We celebrated the 1-year anniversary of the blade that fell into the ocean happening on Nantucket.
They're still cleaning that up.
Oh, yeah. No, I was on Martha's Vineyard. I thought I found a bunch of old styrofoam and stuff because you can find it still in certain areas because it still gets washed in or it was washed and you can find it here and there.
Yeah.
But it's a 1-year anniversary to, arguably one of the biggest environmental disasters the last decade or so.
That's right.
When that blade fell, it broke apart, went to our seafood.
Yep.
This is not good stuff when that happens. That was just one blade.
Correct.
And funny enough, that turbine was struck by lightning and it caught a fire later on.
Oh, really?
Separate incident, same turbine.
Yeah.
But we saw in I think it was Plymouth, another wind turbine fell. So these things, they fail.
Yeah.
But Fiscal Alliance Foundation went to Nantucket, talked to people there, and heard their concerns and elevated their voices. I think one of the best interviews that we saw in Nantucket was one of the Board of Selectmen, I think she was the chair, calling on the Trump administration, which was new last year, to put an end to these things, saying they got a bad deal in Nantucket. The benefit that was sold to them never came to fruition.
Of course.
And, that's a pretty powerful statement when you have local people, local elected officials who are looking at this very much for the interest of their own people, not for some foreign company, or not for some lobby at the State House. Unfortunately, the Attorney General of Massachusetts is nowhere to be found on this issue.
Yes.
Has completely looked the other way. And, the Trump administration has stepped in and, in my opinion, has put out an order against offshore wind for a very common sense reason, which is maybe there's a national security threat here.
Yeah.
If we're building all these things right off the coast of Massachusetts and on the entire East Coast, is that a vulnerable position for us to be in?
Yeah.
Does it interfere with flight? Aside from the fact that it's the most expensive energy generation in the entire country.
Yeah.
Some common sense here is like, is that a low-hanging target for adversaries? And obviously the answer.
And all of these are being built out of the country, right? They're all coming from Spain or China, right? Like the parts. It's
Canada and Europe. That's where they're coming from.
That's where they're coming from, right?
Just stating the obvious. That's what the Trump administration did.
Sure.
But I do want to talk about two little minor things. The foundation. Last year, Governor Healy proposed an energy bill. And in that press release, she said one of the least expensive and quickest ways to bring on energy in Massachusetts and New England is through solar energy. Now, when we heard that, it irked us because when you follow energy, you know that solar is extremely expensive for production. Now, it could be easy to put on your rooftop. It could be easy to kind of dispatch to places, but it is very expensive. And Massachusetts has, I believe it's the only state that pays you back a retail price for solar energy that you produce on, say, your home roof. So we want to look at that. We heard the governor, and late last year we put out a white paper, which you can find at Fiscal Alliance Foundation, and basically looked at solar energy costs. So you think your electric bill, not your gas bill, but your electric bill per se. And I found that in your electric bill, the last 10 years, the policy side of your electric bill, so not the cost of generating electricity and sending it to your house, but the cost of all the mandates that are getting put into your electric bill. So getting pushed by the governor and the legislature into your electric bill went up by 13.1% every year the last 10 years. That cost 13.1% every year the last 10 years, not 13.1 overall, every year. Now, the cost of generating the electricity and dispatching it to your home, that went up 3.6% every year. So kind of like roughly, you think, mostly the rate of inflation. But overall, that means your electric bill went up 5.5% every year. So obviously the biggest areas of growth in your bill is the policies that are getting put into your bill. And part of the policies is solar. Solar is very expensive. It is a mandate getting pushed in Massachusetts. The reason expensive is twofold. One is when you put a solar panel on your roof, let's say, and then you sell it out into the grid, you're getting paid a retail price for that. So like think premium. You're getting paid back a premium price, which everyone else is paying you for. The fact that you can put it back into the grid, everyone else is paying for that luxury of putting that power back into the grid. So these are some of the reasons why the cost of solar is so expensive, let alone it's not always sunny. It's not a high density energy source. Yeah. So we wanted to put that out there, and we did. It got a lot of attention. It was finally, some numbers being thrown at a policy that the governor is proposing. But the last thing I want to kind of just touch on for the foundation that we engaged on quite a bit last year, but your audience is going to engage on next year, is ballot questions.
Yes, that's a big one.
It's a huge one. And there's actually some really good ballot questions for the taxpayers next year. Now, they have to go through a series of hurdles, but assuming they get through the hurdles, there's 4 I want to draw your attention to. 2 deal with taxes, 2 deal with good government. There's a proposal to lower the state income tax from 5 to 4%. That's a good thing. Lower the top rate from 9 to 8%. That's a good thing. That will create about a $4 billion hole in the state budget. But our state budget is in the 60s for billions. This is a message being sent to the State House that you have to start living within your means, that you can't always take advantage of the taxpayers, that eventually we're going to say, we want some money back. But if you're, if you're a normal taxpayer, if you have a paycheck, you're getting hit with this income tax, and you will save money with this reduction. A whole percentage point adds up pretty quickly. If you're earning $50,000 a year, that's $500 more in your pocket, basically. So that's a proposal that will hopefully make it the ballot this year, and the voters will vote in favor of it. I'm very proud to say, I'm a signer on that original petition, meaning that I wanted to help support it from day one. We don't get a lot of pro-taxpayer ballot questions in Massachusetts. They come around every 40 to 20 years, roughly there. So this is our opportunity as taxpayers to have some action being taken in the State House. The second one is there was a taxpayer protection law called 62F that passed in the 80s. Basically said when the state collects too much money from the taxpayers, some of that money comes back to us. And unfortunately, it doesn't get triggered nearly enough.
It's got triggered twice or something, right?
Yeah. This modification would allow it to get triggered much more frequently. So create a habit. When the state is just overtaxing its people, people get that money back. That's a good thing because we already know we're getting overtaxed.
Yes.
So this will allow people to kind of anticipate money coming back to them when the state takes advantage of us too much. So those are 2 very good issues. I'm hoping that we'll make it on the ballot this year. It has to go through a few hurdles. 2 other good government issues I'll just kind of briefly talk about. We were all familiar with the audit the legislature passed overwhelmingly. The Attorney General is definitely trying to stop that as much as she can. That's not a debate. That's a fact. A way around this is one of the 2 other ballot questions, which is a public records law for the legislature and the governor. What an audit would do is just tell the public, this is what's going on, and here's some steps to fix it. That's basically what an audit does. It doesn't say, this person is violating law, they should go to jail, per se, right? That's more of an investigation. Audit just says, here are the procedures that they're doing, and this is how you should go into compliance. Well, another way around that is by saying to the Massachusetts legislature and the governor, well, you should be subject to the public records law, meaning that the public should be able to ask you questions and you have to respond to it for public information. Because that's basically what an audit does, is making information public with some corrective language to it. Only state in the country that exempts the legislature, the governor, and the judiciary from a public records law. This is not hard to do. And this ballot question would subject the governor's office and the legislature to a basic public records law. So the audit, is still needed, but this is a way around for the public to gain information, which
Right.
is a good thing.
Yes,
I'm very glad
100%.
to see that.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that these people that feel, we can easily kind of get discouraged. They feel like, no, we're going back. We're going back at them
Yeah.
and holding these people accountable.
100%.
And the last good government one, so the fourth ballot question is, there's no question right now, the Massachusetts legislative system is broken. Completely broken. There's no more debate. Very few roll call votes take place. People that run, even in Democrat primaries or Republican primaries often, who champion good government, they'll get in, they'll get captured very quickly. I've seen it over and over again. You talk to some of the old timers that serve in the legislature, they say, oh, during the budget season, we had 2 weeks of debate. We would go on for a long into the night of debating our roll call vote. That doesn't happen anymore.
Correct.
What happens is you just have one or two people running the entire show. And how they do it is they can give stipends to everyone, or a vast majority of people.
Correct.
And that stipend means, hey, here's extra pay. Now you don't say anything. That's
Right.
what's been happening.
It's incentives. They have
Incentive
people
to be
on
quiet.
incentives. Yep.
So this ballot question would kind of strip that whole practice, gut it, so that it's a little bit more fair. If you have a very important committee assignment, you get paid extra pay. But all these other phony baloney jobs that people get paid for that don't
Sure.
exist, that's all gone.
Yeah.
So that would give incentive for people that go to legislature to actually be able to say things and not feel impeded because they got extra pay.
Yeah.
So those are some good ones.
I think it's important, just if you want to address, like, people may have the question, these are really good ideas. When it gets put in front of the legislature, if they decide to add language or subtract language or whatever, you guys could just basically say no, and we're moving forward with this. And then what do you need, another 12 or 13,000 signatures? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, in the spring of this year.
And then the voters will vote this in, like almost bypassing the legislature, right?
Yeah.
So they're very important, okay? Very, very important.
Yeah, if you want extra pay, if you want more frequent extra pays, if you want a more accountable legislature and governor, those are 4 simple ballot questions.
We're going to cover those a lot this year.
Yeah.
100%.
So great to see Massachusetts people are embracing these issues. They're running with it. They're putting them forward. There is one bad one, the rent control.
Yeah, the rent
government
control.
imposed rent control.
Yeah.
So this has been at the State House for a little while. 2 years ago, it was proposed as a ballot question. It went nowhere. It was stopped. Unfortunately, this time, we did a legal challenge last year before the Attorney General's office on this question. The Attorney General refused to apply the law on this ballot question. She's a politician, obviously. She just said, let the voters figure it out. But I do think that one's probably going to get legally challenged.
I think so.
There's a real concern here with this rent control issue, which is people make investments in these properties. This is your nest egg,
Sure.
if you will. This is what you spend your whole entire life is building a building per se. And now all of a sudden you have government come in there and say, we're going to control your rents, which is we're going to control how you do business. We're going to take away money from you, basically, because we want to control it. And there's no justified reimbursement to these people. There's, you can't really do it. It'll be thousands of people in the state that you're taking money away from, basically, for rent control.
Billions upon billions of dollars.
Billions upon billions. So that's a real problem for a ballot question. You can't do ballot questions that take money away from people because obviously we would get into anarchy pretty quickly.
Yes.
But that's what this ballot question does. And for your audience, why should you care about rent control? It's very simple. Just disregard what I just said. That is a legal reason for why I think it's going to fail. But if you own a house or an apartment in Massachusetts, rent control drives up property taxes. That's a fact. That is not debated. It is a fact. The city of Portland, Maine recently adopted rent control, and guess what happened there? Property taxes went up about $500 per person.
Yep.
That is our future in Massachusetts if we allow rent control to go forward. That is a fact. That's going to be put out there a lot this year, so people understand. If you support rent control, what you're saying is, I support higher property taxes. So just be prepared for that. And people should know that before they go to vote. They should be well informed when they make these decisions that impact them, even when they don't think it impacts them. So rent control, higher property taxes, less investment. I think most people that look at this objectively, who are not part of some kind of ideologically driven industry, are going to say rent control doesn't work anywhere. And we're starting to see that play out in Portland, Maine.
Yeah, it hasn't worked anywhere in the entire world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what's going to make us special that we're just going to try to figure this out, you know?
Yeah.
No, I think that all these issues, I mean, we're going to hammer away at these, right? We're going to chip away. And it's all about educating you guys and, you know, kind of breaking these things down line by line in order to keep you informed. And that's what I'm happy to do with Paul here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, all right. That's it, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks again, man.
The Fiscal Alliance Foundation is a nonpartisan, nonprofit 501c3 organization. Visit our website to read more about our alternative energy policy studies, sign up for important email updates, make a tax-deductible contribution, and follow us on social media.